What would another championship, and maybe I'll even throw onto it, finally winning a Finals MVP, the one missing ingredient, what would that do for Steph Curry's legacy?
It would do everything for it. Matter of fact, Greeny, it would cement him for as being a top 10 greatest player of all time. That's the only thing that Steph Curry is missing. Think about it. Right after the departure, a couple years later, after Kevin Durant left, he goes back to the finals and finish it off against this Boston Celtic defense and win the Finals MVP. No one is going to be able to deny him for being the top 10 greatest player of all time. So when I look at this light-skinned, green-eyed assassin, that's all he's missing. And he would shut a lot of critics up, including myself, who has been very critical of Steph Curry because of these final moments that he has had in the past.
Yeah, again, a reminder that Andre Iguodala won the Finals MVP the first year that the Warriors got there, and then Kevin Durant won the seasons that he was there. So how about it, Amari? From a legacy standpoint, what's at stake for Steph these next 2 weeks?
Well, I think most importantly, if he wins a championship, that puts him in the category of top 10 of all time. If he wins Finals MVP, then that adds to that. But he's already one of the greatest point guards that the game has ever seen. He's already somewhat solidified his status as far as being one of the greats. But I do think if he does win a championship and he does get a Finals MVP, that will also put him a step higher than where he is now.
There's a nuance in this conversation, Zach, and you're one of the people I love doing these kinds of talks with on radio shows and things like that, podcasts, because it's really where this conversation belongs more than anything else. Because he occupies a unique place in the game's history, right? There's some things very specific about Steph's greatness. But then once you try to apply it into, well, where does he belong compared to this person and that person, it becomes complicated because he almost does things differently than any of the other all-time greats ever did.
Well, I'll give you an example. If figuring conservatively, if he plays the next 4 seasons like relatively healthy, he's going to join the 25,000 point, 6,000 assist club that is currently inhabited by LeBron, Oscar Robertson, Kobe Bryant, Jerry West, John Havlicek. That's it. But to your point, 6,000 assists is underselling his playmaking because he does it in a different way than anybody else. He gets things that are basically assists when he never touches the ball. They're not hockey assists. It's just he runs around and people get open because 5 guys chase him. Frankly, this whole discussion, I really hate it because whether you have him 10th, 9th, 12th, 13th, 14th, it doesn't matter. All these players are amazing. And by the way, we sit here and we throw around top 10 players of all time. We should all be mandated to list who the top 10 are all time now and who you're bumping out if you're putting Steph into it. And I wish we would run the stats from Steph Curry's finals career again. We had them on there before.
Yeah.
It was like 26, 6, and 6. This idea that he's like underperformed in the finals is one of the greatest myths in modern basketball history. He should have won Finals MVP already. He doesn't. I don't really care. He's awesome no matter if he's 14, 13, 12. I don't really care.
Could anything be more amusing than Zach ranting while the big fella is fanning himself? Go ahead, Big Perk.
Hey, G, you know why I'm fanning myself? Let me tell you something. At First Street Baptist Church, when the preachers start preaching that good gospel and they get hot in there because everybody get to standing up and hooping and hollering, you get the fanning the old lady next to you, or she get the fanning herself from passing out. Here's the thing, right? When you look at Steph Curry and we look at his resume, it's longer than this Memorial Day weekend that we just went through. We're talking about a guy that has changed the game of basketball forever. He has changed it forever. A generational talent, right? At 6'2", 6'3", making it okay to take shots that would have put you at the end of the bench last year. I tried to tell, before he came into the league, excuse me. I tried to tell the great Stephen A. Smith yesterday, when it comes down to Steph Curry and the way that he changed the game, it's undeniable why he's going to be in the top 10 if he wins this Finals MVP. And some may say that he may move up to the number 1 spot for as the all-time great point guard. And that's no disrespect to the great Magic Johnson, but to do what he has done at 6'2" and change the game, I don't see how one could argue this.
That's what I meant. You just said it better than I did, which is he occupies a unique place. Like, how do you compare him to Magic Johnson? They're so totally different. And the idea that he has completely revolutionized the game, changed the way the game is played, is true. And how do you factor that into your conversation about his greatness? But to go back to what you said, I can put very specific numbers to it. ESPN ranked the greatest players of all time. We had him 16th. Kevin Durant was 12th. He is behind Durant and LeBron as far as current players. Those were the three highest rated current players. Would winning this championship move ahead of Durant? Would you put him on the all-time list ahead of Durant if he does what we're talking about in the next 2 weeks?
The very question, Greeny, makes me sick to my stomach because it's forcing me to put two of the all-time greatest players against each other and almost accidentally denigrate one, which I don't want to do.
No.
The answer is no. Kevin Durant still outranks Steph Curry.
Okay, well, so I'm glad you brought. So let's hold up. I'm sorry. See, you've got this expressive face, Big Perk. I can never go on to something else because I look up and I see your face. Are you saying that you will put Steph Curry on the all-time list, historically great players, ahead of Kevin Durant if he wins the championship here without him?
Well, listen, Greeny, ESPN did their list, and I did my list, and he was already ahead of Kevin Durant. And we're not talking about, who's the better basketball player. When you start to talk about the top 10 greatest player of all time, it has something to do with your legacy, right? It has something to do also with your story. And the fact that he has been with the same franchise since he got drafted and how he has started from the ground up and got it out the mud and built a dynasty there and changed the game, I don't see how one can put Kevin Durant ahead of Steph Curry. Legacy plays a part. And if Zach Lowe sit up here right now on Get Up on national TV and sit up here and tell me that he would take Kevin Durant legacy over Steph Curry legacy, then me and Zach go have a problem.
Zach, do you have a problem?
Perk and I continuously have problems. It's not a new thing. Look, the proper answer to this question is who cares?
No, it's not.
They're both incredible. Why do I have to care?
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.